I'm Getchin Share with HomesNet Realty, and I thank you for watching. And if this is your first time on this channel, please consider subscribing and click on the bell to be notified when I post new videos. In this episode of Let's Talk Real Estate, I will go over 20 questions, multiple choice questions, designed to help you pass the Florida real estate exam. Let's get right into it.
Part 10 of 20 legal descriptions. In this chapter, we'll be discussing survey. Number 1, there are blank acres in a section. Well, there are 640 acres in a section. Keep in mind, a section is 1 mile square or 1 square mile, and it contains 640 acres. Number 2, a section is blank mile square and contains blank square mile. Well, we just discussed that. So these are many different ways that they can basically ask you that simple question. Again, a section is 1 mile square or 1 square mile or 640 acres. All of those are characteristics of a section. Number 3, the area of land running north and south formed by 2 meridians is called a blank. Well, north and south, that is the range. So vertical, the areas that are running vertical between meridians is called range, whereas the horizontal that's running between the baselines, that is called tier or township. Number 4, the most accurate method of legally describing property is the blank, blank, and blank method. Well, that is the meets and bounds methods. Please keep in mind, meets refers to the distance, such as how many inches, how many feet, how many yards, or even how many miles. Whereas bounds refers to the directions of the property boundaries, property lines. So are we going north, south, southwest, southeast? So remember, meets refers to the distance and bounds. So if you can think of, okay, where are you bound to? So that's directions. Number 5, the area of land lying between a line running east and west and a line lying either north or south and running parallel to it is called a blank. Well, that is a township or tier line. Remember, if it's running horizontal, horizontal is east to west, whereas vertical is north and south. So the horizontal, that is referred to as township lines or tier lines. Number 6, blank, blank are used to identify a parcel's location on the earth without duplication and without confusion with any other parcel. Now, that is legal description. Now, keep in mind, whenever you see the word parcel, they're referring to a piece of property, a piece of land. So what are they saying here? They're saying the legal description is the best method to identify a piece of property. It prevents confusion, such as if you use an address, for example, so 225 Northeast 135th Street versus 225 Northwest 135th Street. You see how easily one letter can confuse. In that case, that could create some confusion, whereas the legal description is a unique identifying number that identifies a piece of property, a piece of land, anywhere on this planet. Number 7, A township is blank miles square and contains blank square miles. Here, they're talking about a township. A township is 6 miles square and it contains 36 square miles. Keep in mind, 6 miles square is not the same as 6 square miles. So 6 miles square is the same as 36 square miles. 6 miles north and south, 6 miles east and west, that is 6 miles square. And if you multiply 6 by 6, that will give you 36 square miles. Whereas a section, each of those 36 sections would make, that would be the 36 square miles, because each section is 1 mile square, all 1 square miles. And remember, each section has 640 acres. Number 8, the initial reference point in the meets and bounds legal description is the blank, then the blank, blank, blank. Well, here, the initial reference point, that refers to the monument. So if you can imagine, if a surveyor is surveying a piece of property, he or she must start at a beginning, a point of beginning. They have to identify a specific item, or they can place a monument there. A monument is a fixture, something that is fixed at that location, that marks that location. And the point of beginning, that is where they're starting. It is also refers to as POB. Number 9, properties located in subdivided areas are usually described using the blank method. Well, that would be the plat method. The plat method is also known as the lot and block method. It is the method of the legal description that is used to identify a smaller parcel of land. In other words, like a subdivision. So a subdivision that is located in a city, for example, that would be referred to as the plat method. So if you can imagine, think of surveying as in 3 types of surveying. So the government surveying method is surveying the entire planet or the entire country or the entire state. Whereas subdivision could be just plat method. That is what is recorded. So if a developer wants to develop a piece of land, turning it into a subdivision, a gated area, or building there, well, they will record the plat with the county where the property is located. So just keep in mind, your lot on the block, that is the plat method. Number 10, if a meets and bounds description returns exactly to the original starting point, it is called a blank. Well, if it goes exactly back to the starting point, that means it is closing. It's a closing the loop. So if you take, remember, meets and bounds, you distance, directions, and if it returns exactly back to the original position, it is closing. Number 11. Before moving on, do me a favor, hover over this picture, click subscribe, and click on the bell to be notified when I post new videos. Number 11. Which of the following pairs best describes 640 acres more or less? The answer here would be B. Remember, a township has 36 sections. So 1/36 of a township would be a section. And a section is 1 mile square, 1 square mile, 640 acres. 1/36. That is one section out of 36 sections of a township. That is the one that's correct here. Number 12. A property is described as follows. The point of beginning is described with a cement monument. All of the other points are arrived at by angles and directions until you return to the point of beginning. Which method of legal description has been employed? Well, if you remember, we talked about meets and bounds. So if you read the question is basically giving you the answer. So I underlined those for you. So let's take a look. Point of beginning is described with a cement monument, angles and directions. Which method are they discussing? Well, here it's the meets and bounds. Number 13, how many acres are contained in 1/4 of a section? Well, this could go also as a math question, although we're not doing math here, but I want you to understand this concept very simple. So whenever you see a question like this that has a fraction, you will start with 640, and you will divide that by the denominator. The denominator is the 4. So it's either going to be 1/2 or 1/4. So here you can see if you take 640 acres and you divide it by 4, it would be 1/60. So if a section contains 640 acres, then 1/4 of a section would contain 160 acres. And the way you do that, you take 640 divided by 4. That is 160 acres. Number 14, which survey method should be used when there are recorded subdivision? Well, here again, the subdivision is the plat method. I remember in a previous video I shared with you, the answer is embedded in the question. And here you can see subdivision recorded. Which survey method is recorded? That would be the plat method. Number 15, what is the opposite of north 20 degrees west? Well, the opposite of north is south, and the opposite of west is east. So when they say opposite, they're referring to that directly opposite from it. So if it's north, the opposite of north will be south. So if we talk about from the west, the opposite would be east. So that's how you would figure that out. Number 16, which is the best description of a township? Here, remember, a township is 6 miles square, not 6 square miles. A township has 6 miles square or 36 square miles and contains 36 sections. Number 17, which method of describing property would not be utilized by a licensed surveyor in developing a legal description? Well, they will not use a reference to a recorded plat, because remember, the plat method is recorded after it has been developed. So therefore, the surveyor will not have access to such a thing because the developer is getting the plat method, they're getting the subdivision done, surveyed, and then that plat method would be submitted to the county. So they would not have anything to reference. Number 18, what is the main north and south line used in the government surveying method? Well, the north and south line is referred to as the principal meridian. So you see here the main north and south line that runs through Tallahassee, if you probably recall that. So you have the north and south, principal meridian, and then the east and west is called the baseline. And those two intersect at Tallahassee near the courthouse. They have a monument there. Number 19, what is the distance between meridian? Well, the distance between meridian is 6 miles. Same thing, distance between range lines, that is 6 miles. So a township is 6 miles square. That is because each range line and each meridian line or tier line, they are 6 miles apart. And number 20, who should prepare a legal description? Well, looking at the list here, we know we're talking about surveyors. So who else would prepare a legal description? Only a surveyor can prepare a legal description. I hope you find this useful, and if you do, please subscribe, share, comment, and like. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed and productive day.